Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers can learn more about the business and the seller to help them make a buying decision. Now, all of the business details, which include the type of business it is, how much revenue and profit it makes, and all of the assets included in the sale can be found on the business listing. To view this information, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business listing number, which is listed in the video thumbnail and the description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And if after listening you want to take an even deeper dive into the business to perform your due diligence before potentially purchasing this business, you can unlock this listing to look through all of the business information, which includes the domain, the products, the P&L, and more. So can you tell us a little about your background in building and running online businesses?
When I was living in China, I actually saw similar products that were designed really poorly. It's very typical to see this in China, where you see like a cool idea, a cool invention, but maybe just not a great design. And I started thinking, what if I redesigned it in certain ways? And I started thinking a little bit about the marketing angle. And then it turned into a Kickstarter project. And the Kickstarter project did fairly well, but it wasn't until about 6 months after we delivered it that people got the product and really started talking, and it really just blew up from there. It just seemed like a niche with a really broad audience. I've done lots of products before. I did one like in the guitar industry, which was like never getting back into music again. It's just too niche. And so this category is great because, it's something that my 6-year-old nephew and my 90-year-old grandmom, they both like it. It has a super wide audience. It's not specific to the United States, so it's good product internationally. So kind of what I learned from this experience is to stay in a broad category.
So why are you selling the business now instead of keeping it and growing it further?
To me, any business is kind of just like a stock. After the Kickstarter campaign, I actually just tried to get out of it with my partner. I think at the time I was trying to get $30,000 for it. Super glad I didn't take that, by the way. And I wound up buying him out at the time and then taking it over myself. And at the time, that was what I felt the stock price was worth. Last year, I had some conversations with people and I had it valued less than it is today after we had another successful year. So to me, it's going to be both directions. I enjoy building the business. And if I do not sell it now, I'll keep adding products to the line, expand internationally, get into more retailers, and try and build it to be like a $10 million business, which I think we can get to like a $10 million valuation in, I would guess, 2 years if I keep going down this current path. You might say, well, if it's going to be worth $10 million, why would you sell it now? There's no guarantees, just like a stock. And there's other things, including when I lived in Asia, I actually had some different pizza restaurants out there. COVID did not treat those too well. Had to close them up. I'm going to be 40 years old this year. Would like to start a family here in Vegas and settle down a little bit. And it would be nice to have a little bit of a safety net. I would not stop doing products. I will, start a new line of something completely different. I enjoy building products and I have a ton of experience in Asia and China. So I'll probably keep doing something related to that.
What did you learn from building this business that worked for you? Or what do you think contributed to the success you experienced with this business?
So a few things were operating as super lean. My business right now only has a few people. We've got Ashan, who runs our ads in Pakistan. We have Renee, who is our customer support in the Philippines. We've got Ashley, who helps out in China. We have Veronica in New York, who does the email marketing. So it's all based on hourly employees or contractors. So we don't have a huge payroll and a lot of overhead, which I'm kind of like a cautious entrepreneur. I always look at the downside of things. And so, I like to keep the expenses as low as possible while still being able to grow the business. And I think that was kind of what led to our success. Something else that I would say is also the strategy from the beginning of designing something that was a little bit more premium. So you can't out China. You can't drive a price lower than what they can do. So unless you're selling some sort of commodity, you can't have a cheaper price and compete with them on price. So from the beginning, we knew we were going to design something that was better, had better functionality, cooler design than what's in China, and then market accordingly. And it worked. People saw the value in that. And having the higher price point also lets us advertise it. It lets us acquire a customer for 20 to 25 bucks or whatever it is. So that strategy really contributed a lot to our success.
Got it. So was there anything you tried that didn't work out as well?
I would say we are not great on the marketing side. I've seen different brands on TikTok make really cool stories about their business and really sell a story. And I get the concept, but I just don't think that we've ever done it well. It wasn't until recently that I looked at our Instagram page and hired someone to revamp it. And it looks better now. But I just don't think that I've ever been super good on the marketing side of creating a story around the brand and being able to really sell that. I think I focus a lot on the product, which is okay. The product has sold really well, but I think that there should be a deeper story about the brand.
Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business to maintain it?
This business, it's interesting because if someone asked how many hours do you put in or how many hours do I need to put in, those are two very different questions. If I just wanted to maintain the level of what we're doing now, I could probably spend as little as 10 to 20 hours a week on this. And that would be just checking in with Ashan, the guy that runs the ads, and checking what it converts at, checking in with customer service, checking in with the shipments from China. And that's kind of if I just wanted to coast it. My personality is I would just be super bored. I'm not into a 40-hour work week. I enjoy working. I enjoy building something and growing it. And so I put a ton of time into this just because if I wasn't, I don't know exactly what I would do with my time. As for the work and maintenance, there isn't a ton in terms of maintenance that needs to be done. I will say in terms of the things that I'm working on right now, I am working on other products that I may or may not add to this current business. I might start a completely different business and put them under a different name, or I might add it to this product line if the business does not sell. And so I'm working on developing those with China. A lot of time goes into that, the 3D design, the CAD drawings, working with the factory, the chip manufacturer, all of that stuff takes quite a bit of time. In terms of sales, right now, I really am the sales team. We work with an outside agency. So for getting into Target and QVC, we have a sales agency that got us into those different retailers. They kind of do the hard work in terms of setting up those meetings and working those relationships. It doesn't really take a ton of time, but it is something that I do spend a little bit of time in terms of communication on.
Now, if you were to keep the business, what are some ways you would try to grow it?
Several ways. One is getting into more retailers. So we just got into QVC this last year. We just signed a deal with Target. So Target will be our partner in 2024. Working with a company called PriceSmart, which actually is kind of like the Costco of Latin America. So there's a lot of opportunity in the retail deals. And I like those deals because there's no real acquisition cost. Of course, you're selling a product cheaper at wholesale, but our D2C business every day is how much do we spend in ads and how much do we do in sales, right? And we have to acquire customers every day. I loved the deal this year with QVC. They took 7,500 units of our product. And it was great because, we didn't have to do any of the hard work and we made a little bit of money off the deal. And it was just kind of like a one-time check. And that was great. So I would keep expanding retail. Second is adding more products to the line. Right now, the brand has an excellent reputation. People really like it. It's like the reverse of buyer remorse, right? Some buyer remorse, people get it and they're like, oh, why did I spend $80 on this thing? It's actually the opposite. People are getting it and they rave about it. And we get a lot of organic traffic just because people will refer their friends and family to this product. So I want to add more products to the line just because right now the brand name is really what makes it valuable. The third thing to expand the business is more markets. So as I mentioned before, it's not a product that's specific to the US. About a year ago, our business was 99% US. Today, that's probably closer to 92%. We expanded into the UK, Japan, Australia, a few different European countries. None of them are that big yet, but I do believe that we could continue expanding there as our reputation grows and the product works within those markets.
And what are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
There's no super big red flag that I would say. The only other thing is just, again, in terms of a stock price and value, who knows where we're at right now? Like, has the product already ran through its product life cycle and next year no one's going to buy it anymore? Like, of course, as a cautious entrepreneur, that's something that's always in the back of my mind. But I was afraid of that in 2022. And then in 2023, we had a bigger year. That's always a fear of mine. And is it valid? So far, no. We are looking to grow again in 2024. So that's just, look, it's a risk of any business. You got to keep it moving forward. And if it's not moving forward, it could go away. And so that's just like the cautious side of me. It's saying, is that a risk? I don't know. I guess that could be. We're not really a product or a brand that is really affected by the economy or trends. None of that stuff is a risk. So I can't really think of a lot of red flags that are associated with the business.
And how much support are you willing to offer a buyer who acquires this business?
This is a decent sized deal, so I'm not going to just sell it and go away. Again, because I spent so much time in China, I think that the handover between the factory and my employee/contractor in China is probably essential to this. I have no commitments after this. Like I said, I enjoy working. If I sold this, I'm not going to be on the beaches. I'm going to starting some other company probably within a couple months. So I'm fine in terms of negotiating something. Sure, we could probably have a standard agreement of so many days. And then if they wanted to retain me after that, maybe for a separate fee or something like that, I enjoy the business. So, I'm happy to stay on for 3 months or 6 months if that was necessary. Maybe beyond that, it would be a little bit long. But yeah, I'm open to different ways to work that deal.
And regarding the sale of this business, just confirming you commit to a non-compete?
Yes, I agree to the Empire Builder non-compete agreement.
And are you open to negotiating something like an earnout?
It's a very broad question. It would depend on the wording of how the earnout is structured. Probably less likely to do something like that unless there was some sort of big incentive if we wound up growing the company over a period of time. So I would say we would probably prefer something more on the upfront side, open to it, but it would probably have to have an upside that is above the asking price.
Now, putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Well, this has been a profitable business since the day it ever started. The brand has a super strong reputation. We keep growing year over year. We keep expanding into different markets. We've grown into different retailers. We now have relationships with QVC and Target. And the benefit of that is these are companies that are super difficult to get into, but once you're in there and you're an approved vendor, you can constantly keep feeding them different products. I just went to QVC, to their headquarters in Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago, actually, and they're already committing to buying products that we haven't developed. All I have is 3D drawings, and they're saying, well, we think we could do about $1 million in sales, which would be about 500,000 in POs. And so getting into these retailers is super difficult, but once you're there, you can start feeding them more and more and growing it. So we have a great reputation with the retailers. The reputation with people that have bought from our brand within the last couple of years is also great. That's why on Amazon, we're a 4.7. On our website, we're a 4.8. And it's still in its infancy. Like I said, I wanted to sell this thing for 30 grand about 3 years ago. And then about a year after that, I wanted to sell it for $1 million. And then last year I wanted to do 2.5. This year we want to get 4.2. If I hold on to it and it goes another 2 years, I would imagine that there is a likelihood that we could grow it to be a $10 million business. There's other things with the business also that depending on the buyer's current company, they may also be able to benefit. So for example, our email list has something like 70,000 people. We don't really have that many different products that we can keep throwing at that person. However, if the buyer had other products in their assortment that they could also take a little bit of the benefit of cross-selling and stuff like that, there are a lot of opportunities there that we currently don't have. So overall, it's a strong brand. It's a very lean business. There is not a lot of operating costs to the business, and there's a lot of potential here to grow it.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that you think I might have missed during the interview?
No, I'm sure that any potential buyer is going to have 1,000 questions, and I'm happy to answer all of them. So feel free to contact me and set up a time.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing is still for sale, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business listing number, which is listed in the video thumbnail and the description. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So thanks for joining us, and until next time.